score. Arkansas, LSU, and Maryland have gotten verbal commitments today for our fourth. We go downstairs to Matt Schick for our American Family Insurance verbal commitment. Matt.
Thank you, guys. And now Texas, Michigan, or LSU will get another one. This is Gene Delance. He is the number 8 offensive tackle, number 90 overall out of the state of Texas. In a bag holds the key to your commitment here. There is a hat you're going to put on. Which one will it be?
Before I start, I'd like to thank God, thank my family, my players, all my teammates and family that helped me through this process, and everybody that helped me get this far. But with further ado, I'll be taking my talents to the University of Texas. Welcome.
A lot of family, very excited. Of course, you're from North Mesquite High School there in Texas. Are we on board with having him play close to home?
Yes.
What are you most excited about?
He's staying at home.
There you go, Texas.
It's ready.
Top 10 recruiting class. Yeah.
Definitely
Screen no boom with the
stay
station.
closer to her and be the biggest thing that I can be to them and make them all proud.
Grandma Avis is here. How's that make you feel?
It makes me feel great.
You get to watch him in person. Guys, Texas, up until this point, had not had a commitment from one of the top 25 players within the state. They do now with Gene Delance. Back up to you.
Number 8 offensive tackle goes to Texas, guys.
That you think Mom is excited. I can guarantee you Charlie Strong is just as excited as well. Their third ESPN 300 pickup. You think about the left tackle. Connor Williams just finished up as true freshman. Maybe now they've found the answer there at the right side, as they've struggled at the quarterback position, Tom, but you know, having called some of their games, they've got some young talent on that program.
Got a lot of young talent. They've got some in the offensive line. John Burt, who was here a year ago, is going to be a special player at receiver. We all know Malik Jefferson a year ago had a wonderful year as a linebacker on defense for Charlie Strong and that staff. New offensive approach, new offensive coordinator. You hit the nail on the head for Texas. They've got to find a quarterback. Do you see how happy his mom was? Usually you turn 18, they're ready to kick you out of the house. She's just happy that he's staying at home.
Let's take a look to our sounds of the game. Take a listen. It's brought to you by Under Armour, and we listen in on our coaches.
First down! First down! Hey, who's roughing this game, Herm, or who's roughing this game? Crazy Mooch. You got to block first, all right? They're coming. There's 6 people can rush.
I'm real nasty.
That's Sports Center right there.
That's top 10, I promise you. Monday, I'll have it on the top 10. I'll be in there. I'll be on top 10.
That's Coach Clout right there. I'm going to have it on top 10 for you. That's a coach you can stand behind now.
Yeah, even more incentive to go out and make a big play because you know you got a cheerleader for you for the Sports Center top 10. You're obviously talking about Deontay Mullins' outstanding catch. Miami verbal commit there towards the end of the first half.
You know, there's so much interest in which team has the best class, and we're leading you up to National Signing Day on February 3rd. The number 1 class right now is Ole Miss. We've talked about LSU's chances. What do you guys see in the middle of that top pack? Who's got maybe most of the upside there?
Well, what is insane about what Nick Saban has done in Alabama, he has a class currently sitting at number 6, and people are asking what is wrong because he's signed 4 straight class. Right behind him, their in-state rival, Auburn. It was a very tough year on the field for the Tigers, but you see them still finding some success on the field. Maybe is Woody Barrett the question at the quarterback struggles there, Tom?
Yeah, and keep in mind, Marlon Davidson here today, committed to Auburn, a difference maker on the defensive line. Remember Byron Coward a year ago had a sub-package role on defense as a true freshman for Auburn. But as we look at those classes, and you've got to understand, those are paper championships right there, and they're great for fan passion. And yes, are they an indicator of probable success at the next level? Yes. Are they a guarantee? No. And the reality is that a recruiting class over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, it will be determined, not now. And so those things are great. They're a nice indicator, but you also got to take them with a grain of salt.
Off we go, second half. And Drake Davis, after a couple of bounces, we saw him commit to LSU earlier, bolstering that currently number 2 recruiting class. And Team Armour, shut out in the first half, has the ball. Does this game normally open up for those that have not seen many of them? here in the second half?
It gets better. It gets a little bit more streamlined. And again, you've got to make plays when your number is called. And I think that's what was lacking with Team Armour in the first half.
And I think, and even we saw Coach Herm Edwards reference it going into the half, that the players calmed down a little bit. Now they've got a feel for the first half. Maybe they're not thinking about the cameras. Maybe they're not thinking about the big stage. They're just going out and playing football.
You mentioned Woody Barrett. He's back at the controls for Team Armour, the Auburn commit, the number 4 dual-threat quarterback in the country. Barrett giving some ground. Got a little chip block by Miles Sanders. And out of bounds he goes. Rashawn Gary again.
Say, guess who is in pursuit? This is really, and he's not the only one. There's a lot of players out there with motive. We want to talk about a guy consistently showing it. He's at the bottom of the screen, working across the top. He sees it, watch him remain in motion. Look at the big man close. It's really that combination of size, athleticism, and effort that makes him a big play defender, and really it will allow for the versatility as well. You mentioned a little bit earlier in comparison to Dominique Easley. I've seen a little bit of Leonard Williams at what he did at USC with his versatility.
Barrett to throw, and way too high for Eli Stove, his future target likely at Auburn. Third down.
And part of the thing is, too, when you've got a player like a Rashawn Gary leading a talented defensive group, for those quarterbacks, even if the rush isn't there, sometimes maybe you feel the rush, and that's one thing that's going to help them for the next level. There's going to be a lot of players along those defensive lines that can get after the quarterback, and they're going to have to learn that internal clock and that poise and that patience to be able to sit in the pocket and deliver.
Woody Barrett committed to Auburn, as is John Franklin III out of the junior college ranks, so adding some more depth and hopefully defining the position off of a struggle in 2015 at quarterback. And Woody Barrett under duress here once again. The offensive line for Team Armour really struggling.
Second sack of the series for Rashawn Gary, the number 1 player in the country.
He's got so much motor. He's a little jogging in place after the play. You see him working. I love the hand usage. He's just not trying to run by offensive linemen. He's active with those hands, working to separate.
And that's the number 2 offensive tackle in the country, Willie Allen, that he just beat.
Yeah, and Willie Allen out of John Curtis Christian in Louisiana, just outside New Orleans. Outstanding program. A little bit more of a wing T type scheme. Not as used to the pass protection. I love Willie Allen's upside, but that's one facet of his game he's going to need to improve. Uncommitted 5-star offensive tackle.
Levante Taylor breaks one. And he's inside the 20. Taylor, the Florida State commit, with the explosive run. It's a 41-yard return.
Well, we heard Deion Sanders talking a little bit earlier about Levante Taylor, and Deion can make some plays in the kicking game as well. As here we see Taylor, the number 1 rated corner in the nation of Florida State Verbal. We see him field it, get upfield, find that seam. We talked about it a little bit earlier. 4.3 tested speed. Nice job there, being able to make the tackle, prevent a touchdown.
That's Braden Mann, the punter.
Last line of defense.
See if this Team Armour defense can hold up here with great field position for Team Highlight. As I think Dwayne Haskins, who started this game, coming back in at quarterback for Team Highlight.
The Maryland Verbal commit on the way out. Deion Sanders certainly pleased over on the sideline. Seen a lot of B.J. Emmons today and his agility, but down he goes behind the line. That's Shane Simmons, the Penn State Verbal commit, who got in there.
The Houston Verbal, Ed Oliver, got things started. He really did not allow Emmons to get going, and then once he had to flatten out and try to bounce it, there was the Penn State Verbal. Shane Simmons, a player who's really impressed me this week. You look at that frame, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
The upside, he could potentially be a transition to an outside linebacker. Sometimes watching him on film, you felt like you weren't getting all Shane Simmons can give.
We got it this week, though.
We did get it this week. Also, one of the captains for Team Armour, and Elijah Brooks, the head coach at DeMatha, raved about the type of kid he is and the presence he is in the locker room. Really could be a home run for the Nittany Lions on and off the field in that program.
Harry, the catch for 7 yards there. You talk about that mindset and the attitude. How much can you learn in such a short span at these practices?
It's the only thing I personally pay attention to. How do they respond when things don't go their way? How do they respond when they're maybe not the best player to the right or left of them or in front of them? And then how do they treat other people that are maybe involved in the event, a coach, an equipment manager, a trainer, you can glean an awful lot about what a guy is made of and who the true guy is. And again, those are all factors, critical factors that lead to success.
Haskins, under pressure from Clayton, got away from him. And now Haskins taken out of bounds. The defense holds up. That's Keandre Jones, the number 9 outside linebacker, his future teammate maybe in Maryland.
That was Antonius Clayton, and we had a little SEC future battle there. Greg Little at the tackle spot. Antonius Clayton working around him, forcing Dwayne Haskins to flush out of the pocket, and then the nice pursuit there to make sure he doesn't do any damage once he started running. But that first step from Antonius Clayton, number 7 for Team Armour, Florida Verbal, he has disrupted a lot of team practice this week.
He has. He's done it all week long. We've seen him do it 2 or 3 times in this game. And again, Team Armour stands up on defense, which they needed to do, forcing a field goal here. But Antonius Clayton, boy, has he been impressive off the edge.
Aguayo for the field goal. He's 1 for 1. And Ricky Aguayo, the number 5 kicker in the country, headed to Florida State. Knocks it through from 29. Team highlight 20-0 behind Haskins. The Under Armour All-America Game, presented by American Family Insurance, is brought to you by Under Armour, I Will, and PlayStation 4, the best place to play. Well, you're in real good shape if you forget your shoes. Here at the Under Armour All-America Game, I mean, look at those styles. Do you think you guys could pull those off?
I can pull off anything.
You can.
I'm very stylish.
We love your humility. Team highlight ends up with a field goal, but Rashawn Gary has owned this game so far. 3 sacks. He's tied the Under Armour All-America Game record.
Yeah, tied it with Noah Spence. You remember him, the former Ohio State defensive end. Finished up as an All-American at the FCS level at Eastern Kentucky.
Sam Bruce, the Miami commit, showing the speed across midfield. Well, he can really run, can he?
He is an absolute jet. He could make a cheetah miss in a phone booth. And Craig, I mean, what he lacks in stature, he makes up with in explosiveness.
Yeah, absolute playmaker. It was a special teams miscue in the first half that got Armour down. Here we see them starting early here in the second half of the game with a big special teams play. And Sam Bruce, one of these players, he's a Miami Verbal commit, has a few officials set up for the new year. First off to South Carolina on the 15th of January. Florida on the 22nd, who many feel could be the biggest challenge to that Miami Verbal. And then he's got his final one thus far set for the Hurricanes right before signing day.
He also has an Ohio State hat that he wore during practice. As Gary got away and helped create this and turns upfield to track down Barrett at the 49-yard line. We remind you that the College Football Playoff National Championship game. Here's Jared Garantano, the Tennessee Verbal commit, has checked in as Barrett came off with his helmet springing free on that last play. On the run, Walker dragged down behind the line by Benito Jones. 3rd down coming up. And talk about Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban. We documented Saban has had those flashy, glamorous classes the last couple years.
So has Clemson, though. Clemson, leading up to this year, has had top 5 classes, top 7 classes, top 3 classes, as we've seen what that's developed into. You look at the caliber of players, but it's really the depth top to bottom. It's the evaluation process on the top third of the class, the middle third of the class, the bottom third of the class, and getting those guys to develop and pan out.
And Clemson still, 4th quarter, Rashawn Smith. Many feel that Clemson's in a good position to potentially get him back into the mix. The ESPN 300 4-star linebacker committing a little later in the game. Clemson fans will want to certainly keep an eye on that.
Barrett back in, and he's flushed out of the pocket by Marlon Davidson, the Auburn commit, the number 5 defensive end in the country. 4th down.
Hey, it wasn't Rashawn Gary.
How about it?
So you get that return for Team Armour, and they can do nothing with it on offense. And I'm watching the back end. The line of scrimmage is being focused right here. There is nobody open, Craig. These receivers are locked down. The corners have been far superior. The safeties have been matched up versus the slot. And these quarterbacks have got to get the ball out of their hands. It has not been an impressive outing so far. Just getting the ball out of your hand. Forget about being right and going to the right spot. Get it out of your hand.
20-0 certainly tells the story in part, but that's 5 sacks and 9 tackles for loss in the game 4-team highlight, 5 of those already in the first 6 minutes of this second half. So, team